The final day of the Mid-Season Brawl group stage is upon us here. Day number 5, live from Stockholm, Sweden, as we find out which of our 8 teams conclusively will be moving on into the bracket stage coming up, which will be live from Jönköping, Sweden in just a few days' time. A warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, around the world as we find out which will be those 8 teams. To my left-hand side, we do have Techa, Jayhow, and Fan. I never introduced myself, but you know exactly who I am anyway. And we are going to have 4 series today to determine which will be our teams moving forward and potential tiebreakers down the line as well. Boys, the past couple of days have been awesome. Yesterday, very, very good as well.
Yes, they have. We had 2 teams eliminated. Our first 2 teams eliminated yesterday. Very sad times for them, but the herd is being thinned. Like you said, depending on how the results go today, we could have some tiebreaker matches.
The whole thing about this round-robin tournament, this has got to be one of the most compelling storylines we've had in terms of placements, potential tiebreakers, the upsets, everything about the round-robin tournament. I'm so glad that we've transitioned to that because everything in every single day still matters. That's the cool part about this right now.
Yeah, there's been a lot of upsets, a lot of unexpected results coming out. Fan, yesterday was no different, really.
Yeah, not at all. And one thing that I really like about this format in particular is the fact that, you know, it's not like the other tournaments where teams might play 4 games total and then they're just straight up out of the tournament. You know, every team really can feel like they deserve the ranking that they got, and even if they have a low ranking, they got so much practice for next time. Great format.
Absolutely. The amount of tournaments in esports that I've commentated, and you do a group stage, and in the first few days, you know people are conclusively out. But that has only happened at the very end of yesterday, and if the teams had been much closer, it could have even carried on through to today. But for now, of course, if you did miss day number 4, I mean, there's been a lot of great days regardless here for the group stage, but day number 4 was a good one as well. Let's show you a few clips.
Around the Dragon, just Rite though, making it so difficult. Here's the Dragon Blade, 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kills, and he goes for Lefo, 4 kills by Snitch. And
we have a Genji with Dragon Blade, and he just cleans everyone up, and we're able to end the game.
솔직히 좀 무섭긴 해요. 그래도 좀 폼이 올라온 것 같으니까 그래도 반반은 하지 않을까 생각해요.
We've got the self-destruct trying to zone away L5. There's one that maybe gets caught with Detainment Strike, but Noblesse just barely gets away.
eStar has that split pushing though the entire time. There comes out the bunny hop, getting the slow on a Nacho Jin. Adaptation's too late. SCSC.
Get the Tychus for their shrines just a little bit. Man, they are ready for action.
I told
25 seconds in and
aggro.
2 kills.
Here we go. Starting at level 1, that is a triple kill.
How did they just do this?
They doesn't afraid of anything. With the Divine Storm, it actually gets the cleanse on to the Sulfurous Smash. APOC goes down. Nice dodge coming out from Tiger. Does he get a reset? There is 1. There is 2. Now he goes on to Swoy for the 3rd, but Tiger with no reflect left.
We haven't played them since December, so we've got a lot of months that we've improved, and you know, I think now's the time to show that we can definitely beat them.
It's in the top lane, Soak, he puts Tempo Storm closer and closer back in the game. In fact, they're almost tied in experience. Fury moves in, is looking for Snitch. Snitch gets out. Twilight Dream connects, will be able to hit the Ultimate Evolution clone. Cocoon comes out as well as Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead and Cattle somehow staying alive on the Pandas, but Fury going into the backside. They do secure the kill onto Greymane, but will it cost them their life? Mini goes down as well. Can they get the trade there?
Lost. Scroll looking to get the flank portal down. Red Cannons wants this.
Nice cleanse there onto Zolo, who's trying to return some of that damage. Now Scroll diving that back line. Good ley line in return. We're looking for the Twilight Dream.
But the Sanctification is going to be there, Jayhow. They just don't have the tools.
They don't. Ice Block is going to be used with Malfurion in a very compromised position. The portal, Typex not able to get there because of the stun. Because of the Holy Ground, it's going to keep Typex from going through. Nicely done there. Soul Torturers picks up 2 kills.
Soul Torturers gets the kill.
We don't have a consistent team yet. We have to work a lot of things, so that's just it. Just go back home and work hard.
Some great moments from the group stage here, and we are not done yet, of course, as that was day 4. Fan, one of the highlights for me, I believe, was, you know, L-Star, that's a new team. L5 going up against E-Star, and overall, that series could have quite easily been a 2-0 for E-Star, but it didn't quite go that way.
Yeah, very easily could have been a 2-0 there. eStar kind of threw at the core on their Dragonshire game, and you saw the interviews. Looked like even before the L5 faced eStar, they were kind of scared of them, and that series showed why. eStar is really looking like a powerhouse this time around.
And then, of course, we had a match like Team Tempo Storm going up against Team Dignitas, which a lot of people kind of came in thinking, Dignitas probably got this 2-0, no problem, but they did fail in that second game to actually get that 2-0 against Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm showed up.
It was amazing because Tempo Storm could have easily folded. I mean, they lost in less than 7 minutes on Battlefield of Eternity, and the pressure was put on Dignitas early in Game 2, but Tempo Storm showed their resolve. They came back in Game 2 and evened it up 1-1. I think that shows the resiliency of that team, and it definitely has got to lift the spirits going forward.
And also, I don't know what's happening with my words today. They've gone all over the place. Also, who can forget the brutal assault of Zola on his own teammate with a penguin?
It was pretty savage. Like, I don't know if we have unsportsmanlike conduct, but
I'm sure that's against the rules. If you look up in the rules, HGC rule 7.12, do not hit people with a penguin.
Yeah,
I'm
only
pretty sure
a
that's
penguin.
in there.
Alligators are fine. Penguins are just over the rule set.
Or dolphins with trebuchets and giant dice is also something that you have to consider as important. And that does bring us on to the group stage that we can check in with here to see exactly how things are going down in Group A and Group B. Here are the breakdowns of the charts. Now, not depicted is the points, which I will rattle off for you now, as we do have MVP with 13 points, Fnatic with 9 points, 7 points for Roll20, Nomia on 4 points, DK and Deadly Kittens are eliminated with 2 points, and SPT still has a chance as they currently have 1 point and they will be playing today. And Group B is as follows. eStar with 10 points, Dig with 10 points, L5 with 7, Tempo Storm with 5, Soul Torturers with 4, and unfortunately for Red Canids, 0 points to their name. They are eliminated as well. But Red Canids and Deadly Kittens are the only 2 teams that are gone. We will have 4 series today. We will have the potential for all the other teams to go through to the top 4 in each of their groups, and then tiebreakers down the line. So there's a lot to play for still.
Yes, there is. We actually see the schedule here with Roll20 and Nomia coming in. And I believe we worked out that if Nomia are able to take a single map off of Roll20, then they secure their spot over SPT, I believe.
Sorry, repeat that.
If Nomia take a single map off of Roll20,
Yes.
then it should make it so that SPT can't gain enough points to go through.
Yes, and also, if Nomia does beat Roll20 2-0, they are then in a tiebreaker with
yes.
Roll20, which, again, we will get onto the rules of later on down the line. So there's definitely a lot to play for in this series. Let's actually start focusing on this Roll20 versus Nomia as our first series of the day, because in the end, there's, as I mentioned, a lot to play for between these 2 teams. Roll20 has shown they did take themselves a map off MVP Black. Since then, bagged themselves 7 points. They're in a really good spot here in the top 4 so far.
Yeah, Roll20, you know, they're in a decent spot here. They want to at least keep their 3rd seed, if not get higher. So I imagine they want a clean 2-0 here. You have to imagine the stress on every single team. Every single team that I've talked to here is worried about today. There's always this fringe case where, uh-oh, we're going to lose our seed. We're going to drop 1 spot. We're going to drop 2 spots. We need to perform clean today. So I think Roll20 definitely on the same boat there.
It really, this reminds me so much. There's so much, I guess, cross comparison to a lot of things right now. But day 1, you're Roll20. You take a game off MVP Black.
Yep.
Maybe MVP Black wasn't prepared. Maybe you just had a really good game. You all of a sudden set expectations for yourself.
Right, right.
And I really wonder, like, can you live up to the expectations that you yourself created? And that's the part I love about that.
Here are Roll20 as they get geared up and good to go. Tetra, what can you tell me about how they're playing? Of course, we have seen that first map against MVP Black, but since then they haven't really had much opportunity to get the same exact composition for obvious reasons.
Yeah, because it's really good, and the other teams have been watching these games and potentially banning out some of the targeted picks. But like we said, there are expectations set for them here due to the fact that they took a game of MVP Black, Fnatic didn't
Yeah.
during their series, so the expectations have been set even higher for Roll20 to try and move themselves up in the standings. Play-wise, they have been playing very similar styles each of the games, able to get a lot of kills in the early games if they get the kind of comp they want.
Who stands out for you guys on Roll20? Aside from, I mean, we've talked about Glowering a lot, we've talked about Justing a lot. What can you tell me about the other guys on Roll20?
I think there's two things that stand out to me. I feel like yesterday we could see it on Prismaticism a little bit. It seemed like maybe some of the stress was getting to him, which is kind of the old way. Maybe he finds different ways to channel that. But Yoda himself, we have the luxury here, obviously, of being in the studio and listening to this. The vocalness of Yoda and the, I guess, trust that these players are showing in each other to make certain calls and follow not just Glowering, but more than one person. And the communication between them, I think, is what keeps their cohesion together. And I think communication for this team is a big deal.
Right. I mean, speaking of that communication, I think through days 1 and 3, because as you say, we have the privilege of being able to sit here and hear them all the time. Day 1 and 3, I think they were very much so on the same page. Day 4, there was a bit of miscommunication going on. You can see it. You could hear a little bit of frustration in Glowering. And from that point on, they just kind of need to get it together here, Fan, and just kind of push on and go back to the days 1 through 3, you would say.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to all the teams, really. You know, there's not going to never be a day where you have miscommunication, so I'm not too worried about them. I think they will be fine. They can go back to the, communications in day 1 to 3 where they're on point. And I think they actually have to, because if you remember back in Western Clash, Nomia actually took a game off of teammate, who is now Roll20. So this team has proven that they can take games off of you, and 1 game matters, and 2 games, all of a sudden, they're in a tiebreaker with you, so.
Yeah, and that could affect the seedings going forward. So let's take a look now at Nomia, our team from Australia and Z, as we do have Mr. Robadoba himself. Oh, just a cheeky slight grin. So what, guys, can you tell me about Nomia? They've been a very fun team to watch and get to know once again.
It just seems like potential is what I see in this team. It's like you wait for them to put together that complete game, that complete series, because you can see the individual talent is there. It might not always be at the exact same time, and I think that's where sometimes you'll see the highlights and sometimes you'll see the lowlights. But this team definitely has potential. I mean, they're currently sitting in one of the top 4 spots in their group for a reason, and I think that they have a good chance here to further stake their claim to one of those spots, and not only that, but potentially move up.
Other thoughts on Nomia?
They have a lot of players, and it seems that in each game, a different player steps up. The games they win is where more than one steps up. We've seen Robadoba on the Stitches every now and again really put on a stellar performance. We have seen Fat94 on the Stitches putting on a great performance. We've seen Arcada on multiple heroes putting on a stellar performance, but it really takes them all to be on the same page for them to take these series. We've seen it several times during this tournament, but it's not every time, and that is why I don't think they are higher up.
Fan, where do you think the strengths lie in their compositions that they've shown so far? What would you like them to navigate towards when it comes to going up against Roll20?
Honestly, Nomia has shown several different types of compositions, from the Diva to the Tacit Arcade main, even throwing a Stitches in there every now and then. I think Nomia can play what they want, but more importantly, Roll20 is a team where you really want to deny them what their comfort picks are. Against Fnatic, you heard Fnatic say we knew what their comfort picks were, the Haka, the Li Ming, the Medivh. We just tried to keep those away from them, and then it was clean afterwards. So I think that's something they should also be looking at.
We're going to go to Battlefield of Return to start things off first. Is there anything out of that list that you would really like on this particular map?
The Medivh and the Diablo are definitely 2 that stand out. The Haka and Li Ming as well, honestly. All 4 of them are very key picks for Roll20.
The other thing that stands out to me is that if those aren't options, Zeratul instantly rises in priority. I think when we talk about Glowering. Do you guys remember the Jaina deletion that he had on the bottom right of Battlefield of Eternity? I believe it was at Western Clash.
Good.
It was insane. That was versus Dignitas, I believe.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can see more like that.
All right, into the draft. Game at number 1 here for day 5 between Roll20 and Nomia Mid-Season Brawl.
The interesting thing with you mentioning the Zeratul J-How is we have seen Nomia play it as well, and we've seen them play it to great effect over the Western at the Western Clash, for example. It was one of their most powerful heroes, one of their secret weapons almost, that when they brought it out, it is when they had the best potential to win. There's the Medivh, and that is some good respect coming out of Nomia for the All-Star player who will be playing in our All-Star matches at DreamHack Summer in the form of Glowering from Roll20.
Last night, sitting there, looking at stats, reviewing some of the notes and stuff. Uther, I believe, has somewhere near a 63 or 64% win rate. He has been absolutely dominant, especially in the first pick role. It's Uther and Anubarak are kind of the top two consistent heroes that we see. It's almost unreal how strong these two heroes are in the meta. And I think with Uther first pick, it really makes me wonder, is Nomia willing to go into the Anubarak, or are they, because you have Guardian of Ancient Kings on Uther, or are you going to fall back to the TAS Vala that they ran previously?
There are a lot of different directions they can take here. You know, the Dahaka is another potential deny pick, and you have there's also the Greymane that's really strong on this map. So right now, they can go one of two ways. They can either pick meta, or they can pick for denial of Roll20's comfort picks. The Dahaka I consider as a little bit of a denial, and the Anubarak pretty meta. But overall, those are two solid picks.
I mean, there was a interview we had with Justin where he was saying that it's absolutely pointless trying to ban me out, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of gives a tip of the hat to the flexibility that Roll20 has potentially going down that warrior path at least. So picking them up at the beginning, no harm in that.
Yeah. So Roll20, if they really wanted to, could go for, say, a Valor or a Greymane and then an Ariel to go with this. Once again, removing yet another support from Nomia, maybe focusing down Vanilla a bit due to there only being a couple supports who gain insane value on this map, and only a couple of the main meta supports, one of which is banned, one of which is taken. But Karazim and Greymane do get some value on this map, but taking away the Ariel could maybe remove that Valor Ariel potential and give it to them.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more likely they'll go for the Greymane or Genji route there. Roll20, you know, what you're describing is a very much Xingxi Asian style of drafting. And in North America, I think as far as the Vala comps goes, they don't play it too much.
That is
they actually go for the Li Ming Muradin.
the Li Ming, though, is the Yoda hero, right? They love to play Li Ming on this. They love to get Yoda on that. And the Muradin, you know, just kind of fits right into the aggressive playstyle. You know, Diablo doesn't necessarily have the same type of priority on this battleground that Muradin does. It's a little bit slower to stack souls. Obviously, Diablo is still a strong hero, especially for Justin, but I think Muradin is a great pickup for them.
Are you surprised there hasn't been any Greymane so far?
Yes, very, especially seeing as that was just a Li Ming picked into an Anubarak, picked aggressively into an Anubarak. Greymane might have been a safer option to maybe pick up or at least ban out the Li Ming later, because if it wasn't banned out or taken, Nomia would likely pick it because it works so well with Anubarak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more surprised at the Muradin pickup, honestly. I mean, Li Ming is a comfort hero for Roll20, as we said before. But right now, they don't have the Glarong hero. They have the Genji, the Greymane that they could have picked. You know, like you mentioned, Justin said, it's a waste of time banning him out. He has the variant, he has the Diablo. As you can see this game, he's going to be playing Muradin. So why not get one of the higher priority damage dealers?
In terms of Glarong heroes, we go back to exactly what Jayhouse said before this draft even began. The Zeratul is still open for him.
I'm not as sold on TAS, Dahaka, Anubarak because you lack a little bit of damage and you are heavily reliant on Vala, and Vala trying to solo is decent, but I think when we see what Roll20 comes out with here, it's going to keep things a little bit interesting. You know, with Dahaka off the board, we think about Prismaticism. We've seen Ragnaros just plummet. I feel like it's the Leo, and they are going to go with Leo.
You mentioned, though, lack of damage. Is the damage made up for in the sheer control that Dahaka and Anubarak brings, locking someone down in a certain area if you need to with the damage?
There's not a ton that scares me about Roll20, though, either. I mean, you can get a little bit of damage out of Karazim. That's fine. Li Ming is going to be your primary poke, which is good, but I mean, we're playing double frontliner control-style heroes here, and we're going to see Leoric versus Dahaka in the solo lane, but I think Dahaka will probably get a little bit more value long run.
Yeah, I very much agree with you here. Where is the damage on Roll20's side? They go for the Monk for Glaurung for the block
Karazim, right?
Yeah, but is that really the damage you want?
Like you said, where's the damage? Karazim is the only one who can really fit that in more than Uther anyway.
Well, we'll have to see if it's enough for the damage Karazim there. I was expecting, you know, the higher damage dealer picks like the Genji or the Greymane. The Monk does have great defense with the block totem against the Vala. He's going to negate a lot of damage, but if you don't kill Vala, it doesn't matter how many shots you block, eventually she's going to kill you.
I mean, there's this weird scenario, right, where outside of Artanis not being picked up in this game, Karazin's actually a pretty damn good racer on this map, compared to like Greymane being like banned out, etc. and stuff like that. Is that fair to say?
It is. I think the weird thing is just this is not what we traditionally see from Roll20. We talked about Zeratul, but we talked about Genji being gone, Greymane being gone, all heroes that we see Glaurung thrive on.
Yes.
And your fallback option is Karazim, which, as you said, it's probably going to be Glaurung. So it fits his aggressive playstyle. You can be aggressive with Karazim. You can go in and get out. But is that really what we think they can excel with?
Well, it is time for predictions. Starting with you, Teja.
It's just weird. The race potential, the Vala is going to be good. Like you mentioned, there's a bit less damage. You don't kill Vala, she will poke you down. I'm going to lean towards Nomia.
Okay.
I think communication and a definitive strategy, even if you might have the less superior composition or overarching potential, I think a definitive strategy and communication are on Roll20's side. I feel like they can execute theirs better. I'm going with Roll20.
Yeah, I think execution-wise, you know, Roll20 definitely has that in spades, but the way this draft is going, I really think that Nomia's draft is just amazing compared to Roll20, so I'm going to go with Nomia here.
Okay, well.
Team Dolphin.
Team Dolphin, the tiebreaker has been met as Fan does kind of equalize that out and get it going. Let's see what chat thinks. Let's see if they're on the side of Jayhow to truly equalize things out. Doesn't look like it. Dolphins winning, boys, at the moment. Uh-oh, this is going to be an interesting one.
We already debated the dice versus the Dolphin.
All you need is 2 trebuchets and then we're good to go. We can make this happen. But anyway.
This is so confusing for the chat.
It really is. I shouldn't do this. I'm sorry. I do apologize. For now, though, it's going to be going over to the casters team as we have Roll20 going up against Nomia. It's over to Gillyweed and Grubby.
Thank you, Caleris. Grubby, I'm so excited for a rematch of one of the most hyped matches from the Western Clash, Roll20 versus Nomia. Nomia hoping they can get at least one win in this best of 2 to ensure a spot in the bracket stage next weekend.
And that's what they got at Western Clash. They won the first map against Roll20 just at that Western Clash, and it was on Battlefield of Eternity as well. And Roll20 is rolling with a very similar draft. Anyway, here they are in the blue on the left. Butts on Uther, Yoda on Liming, Justing on Murdin, Glaurung on Karazim, and Prismaticism on Leoric.
And their opponents representing Australia, New Zealand, Nomia with Fat94 playing Dahaka, Robodoba playing Anubarak, Arcaner playing Vala, John on Tassadar, and Vanilla playing Ariel.
All right, and as we see the initial laning setup, it's going to be 2-3 in typical Roll20 North American style, bullying the solo laner and trying to get an advantage there. This is extra nice when your warrior in the 3-man rotation is Muradin, because he doesn't draw a lot of healing resources, because he has that trait, that second wind, where he can continue to heal up. And I think in the end, that is the gaming plan here for Roll20 in general. They're running a very low damage, double support, double warrior composition, with Muradin functioning in a similar way as Roll20 used yesterday on Braxis, taking damage, blocking shots on the Immortal, buying time, and soaking as much XP as they can in the off lanes.
Yeah, it's a Roll20 classic to have these, what you would say is lesser damage compositions, more focused on being able to manipulate the battleground. We've seen it on Infernal Shrines, we've seen it on Braxis Holdout. Now we're going to see how they can do versus Nomia's classic composition on Battlefield of Eternity. But we've also seen Arcaner and John together as that Vala and Tassadar, and Arcaner plays an awesome Vala, not going for Hungering Arrow build here though, no Monster Hunter, so still wanting to build probably into multi-shot build, maybe an auto attack. I don't think we've seen that yet though at this event.
Yeah, we haven't seen full auto attack Hot Pursuit. It's also fairly difficult to stack on this map. as you are required to hit enemy heroes 100 times.
Yeah.
And the thing about enemy heroes, they don't really like to be hit, which really makes that quest a lot more difficult.
That does seem to play into it a little bit, something to consider. Nomia keeping the siege going though here in the bottom. Stormbolt connects to Robodoba. The rotation starting to come in. Everyone from Roll20 trying to slow down the members of Nomia so that they can collapse. Prismaticism sees it, but Roll20 is just focused on the Immortal in this first phase.
We see Nomia, due to the position of the Immortal, is going to go into defense, but it will be very telling to see if Nomia will leverage their Dahaka and defend, or if they will try to do damage on the Immortal. So far it seems like Nomia will take a very defensive position, which is interesting, because this is exactly Roll20's plan as well. Both teams have not really gone into the point where they say, okay, let's race. They have the Dahaka off lane, and in the case of Roll20, they live and breathe this strategy. Although Karazim doesn't have a lot of lane push, that is not that important on Battlefield. Most important is that you are safe while you stand in that lane and soak experience.
Yeah, I wonder if Nomia has studied how Roll20 plays this battleground, because it's been something that Roll20 have done for a long time with heroes like Zeratul, focus on the side lanes, and I loved seeing Nomia get Dahaka not only as a deny from Roll20, that hero, but just as a way of making sure that they can keep up with that, having that global. But Roll20 is sort of going into the same even more so now with getting Royal Focus on Leoric, allowing him to be able to lower the cooldown of Wraithwalk as long as his body doesn't take damage in it, and then pairing that with Lingering Apparition possibly at level 7.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of escape, it gives you that bonus swing damage to clear wave faster and more safely. And I do think you hit the nail on the head. Nomia has that Dahaka, which is a steal to the style of Roll20. And right now they have taken the offensive, burrowing to dodge the Immortal damage. It's double support. Everyone is staying alive really well. Nice dodge on Arcane Orb. And there we go. Just like how the fight started, so it has ended again, where the teams will take defensive position, start to soak a bit of experience again.
Although there is no Monster Hunters, Nomia is still doing a great job with the poke on the Immortal. The Immortal's healths are very close between the two. It's so interesting for me to see Glaurung playing a support hero still in this game, number 1. He's been mainly sticking in the lane, like you said, allowing Yoda to be the one who throws out those long-range abilities to stay safe while poking down the Immortal.
Yeah, exactly. I think Roll20 has a bit of an issue going into the level 13 range, where Ariel picks up blind, as there are 4 melee characters on the Roll20 side, all of whom are dependent on auto attacks for certain effects, like Karazim for his trait, Uther for Holy Fire buffing, Muradin for Blessed Momentum, or Skullcracker. So I think Nomia has a very strong draft. I agree with the analyst there. In the meantime, the first takedown of the game looks to be just around the corner, but Justin gets away.
Great body blocking from the members of Roll20 and a clutch heal from Buds being there for his warrior player. The Immortals are swapping positions now, and the health could not be closer. Both teams are going to try to burn down the Immortal now.
Yeah, and this is where Nomia looks to probably have a bit of a faster trade. They were just about 1% or 2 behind. They win that Immortal easily with 310 health points to spare.
Pretty darn close first phase here, Grubby. But both teams staying even, no first blood yet even. So a lot of focus on making sure that they're laning well, not getting caught, not losing out on experience to their opponents. But I like what you mentioned about the blind, and we still have, we have Righteous Assault too at level 1. For Ariel, so she'll be able to hopefully reduce the cooldown of that at the same time to have lots of blinds versus Roll20.
Vanilla's going to be a key player here, and he will probably also be the focus target of Karazim, knowing that. Of course, Karazim can use the Flurry of Fists talent at level 16 to kind of circle around. It's also not auto attack damage, that one. Or is it? No, it is. So he would have to circle around to dodge the blind if he can.
Yeah, because it's just 6 basic attacks at 50% damage.
I like that they recoded that as basic attacks.
Me too. Looking at our Dahaka build, a slight difference at level 4. Instead of getting one who collects, which is the norm, getting more essence from minions. In this case, Dahaka has gotten a Hero Stalker, so you get more off of takedowns. It allows Fat94 to stay in fights and keep going, being able to get. He's looking for the drag right now, looking at Justin, who is again low, gets hit by Impale, gets back. Heals from Buds, always there to keep Justin just on the brink of death.
Yeah, I really thought Justin was a goner many times in this game already. But in the meantime, he already has hit so many Stormbolts. 17 heroes hit by minute 6:30 is a very great job. 85 bonus damage on his Stormbolt. That is more than 50% extra on his base amount of 151. It just keeps hitting those bolts, being kept alive. Here we go. Stormbolt, no burrow yet.
There's Hammer of Justice.
Oh!
Ooh, dragging Justing in, but he's, of course, Murden. So hard to kill that tanky target.
All right, so the game goes on. 1 fort down already. Nomia's bottom lane pressure with the Haka and the initial Ariel Tassadar Vala rotation has already taken down that fort. But we've seen Roll20 yesterday on Infernal Shrines against SPT giving up so much and eventually getting back with the experience advantage. They give up the objectives, they fall behind in structures, but so long as Roll20 keeps a hold of all their keeps, I can still imagine hearing Glarung shout, "It's okay, we can still win." A very energetic shot caller for his team. We've been hearing him all event, inspiring confidence into his teammates. So I'm sure they still have all the hope in the world. But the thing is, despite running this strategy, this style, they are behind in XP. And that is a bit of a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It's something that they are not too scared of. Like you said, they never get very far behind, it feels like, in experience, because they are very cognizant of where they need to be in laning and what they need to do when they're behind. But they're going to be behind about half of the Immortal health, although they're doing their best to zone despite not having heroic abilities. Heroics are here for Nomia. No Locust Swarm despite being up against Li Ming, whose Disintegrate can take out Cocoon quite rapidly. Still going to have Cocoon. Archon, no Force Wall. So standard things that we would expect to see from the players of Nomia.
Yeah, Li Ming into a Nubarak is a bit of a taboo a few weeks ago, but it has kind of risen. We've seen one Locust Swarm counter to Li Ming just to not have that Cocoon, which gets insta-pop by Disintegrate.
Yeah.
But generally, her damage type is unfavorable against the Nubarak, but it's just about breaking that Cocoon, getting back to the 5-man as quickly as possible to prevent that isolation.
Meanwhile, Roll20 are all about the damage. Divine Storm and 7-sided Strike. Drag pulls in Justing again, and Tomb's going to catch Robodope on the other side of this, and we're ready for the main fight. Divine Storm drops down, so does Crystal Aegis to protect. So far, Nomia is looking nice and healthy for the beginning of this fight, Grubby.
Everyone is getting full heals from Ariel. Arcaner doing a massive job with multi-shots and strafe, and the grouping is very good by Nomia. They've healed up to full. They're going for Justin. Can he survive this time?
There's a Burrow too. Prismaticism's trying to go deep to catch Fat 94, but he's just not dying. Glaurung very nearly took down Arcaner, but in doing so, loses his own life. The first takedown of this game, of this fight, giving Nomia the next Immortal.
And that is a 95% HP Immortal, Gilly. The first takedown of the game. It balanced upon the edge of a knife, but it is indeed Glaurung who will fall first. His 7-sided strike hit 4 targets at the same time. The isolation was not complete. Several mistakes. Not the best fight, but Nomia, they held on really nicely. And this is such an important game. Nomia needs just one map to guarantee their ascent into the top 4 and to make it for the DreamHack main event coming up in a few days.
And if
just
Nomia,
one.
yes, but if they were able to 2-0 Roll20, they'd be able to tie in points too, and maybe even be able to overtake for a better spot in seeding looking at the main events. There's a lot hanging on both of the games here. Cocoon is out. It'll be broken down quickly. All the members of Roll20 fine, even using Entomb and forcing Crystal Aegis 7-sided strike.
7-sided strike trying to isolate Vala, who got Aegis to prevent the Entomb isolation. In the meantime, the Immortal still has shields. This is a guaranteed keep down. I don't think it's game, but the keep is down. Nomia was split soaking with the Haka all along. There we go with the drag. Can he get out? Uther gets taken out as well. They could go for the core, baby.
Incredibly well done from Fat94. He showed up, hit his drag, pulled in Bud's, body blocked him afterward, and just like that, 2 kills for Nomia. This Immortal is still healthy enough to end the game right here, right now. There's still no support for Roll20 for a few more seconds. Nomia has done it. They take out Roll20 in game 1.
Nomia guarantees their qualification from the group stage with this map win. Win another, and they'll tie Roll20 for points, which means they'll fight over 3rd spot. But they are top 4 already. Great job by Nomia. They've taken the first map. They won BOE, just like they did at Western Clash half a year ago.
It is so great to see them immediately recognize and understand the type of Battlefield of Eternity that Roll20 likes to play, and be able to make sure that they can not only keep up with that, but do better than that with their Dahaka. Fat94's Dahaka was impressive. Arcaner's Vala was keeping the team healthy via Aria. All things working in perfect synergy there in game number 1 for Nomia. Let's see what the analysts have to say about that first game.
That's right. With that victory, Nomia has eliminated Super Perfect Team from the potential of them getting themselves a top 4 spot. So that's well done there by Nomia, because now they have completely confirmed which 4 teams will be moving into the playoffs. It just depends on the standings now. But that was a great showing coming out from Nomia, really exploiting the fact that there wasn't that much kill potential fan on the side of Roll20.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you heard me going on and on about why are they picking the Murd in 3rd pick, you know? I expected more of a Genji or a Greymane for the more damage. Heard me going on about the Monk. It's not enough damage, and you saw it there. Like, you have to respect the Vala compositions with the Tassadar and the Oriole. If you can't kill it, you lose. Yeah. Like Jayhao was saying, you know, there is a skill disparity, most people would say, about, you know, Roll20 being the overall the higher skilled team, but you know that doesn't matter if you cannot kill their hyper carry. So
good showing from Nomia.
Yeah, the Kerosene pick obviously I think was just not that great, and then Vala and Ariel composition with Tassadar there to back it up. I mean, that's a tough combination to kill, and it worked out wonderfully for Nomia.
The interesting point here is we are in a position where we can hear the players.
Yes.
Listening into Roll20 as we were sitting back down to do this segment. Listening to Roll20, they seem to have a very good grasp over what they did wrong, and they seem very focused on the next game. They were just like, okay, we know what we did wrong. Did this.
Yeah.
It's in the past. Next game.
I mean, we did even mention at the beginning, as you know, say Justin came out and said, you can't out-draft my position, right? But taking the Muradin in that earlier slot means that, well, I mean, why would you take it there if you can't be out-drafted for his position, right?
Yeah.
You could easily take it later.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once again, it's the Muradin pick with North America. We saw this yesterday with Tempo Storm, and I harped on it. I didn't want to harp on it today, but they're picking the Muradin so early when they could be getting an S-tier damage dealer. And the lack of damage shows in the replay that I have, so if we could just hop right on into here. So this is the level 10 to 10 fight. This is the fight that, you know, Roll20 wants to win here. They went double offensive heroics with the Divine Storm and the 7-sided, so even though they went 2 supports, they understood they needed as much damage as they could get. The problem was, it's just not enough. So the engage starts here. We go on Justin. If we can pause right here. So the engage happened on Justin. He lost 80% of his life just from the Vala damage and the tongue. We see the counter engage. We see the Entomb pop up here on Robadoba. So you have the Leoric and the Monk. You have the percentage-based damage. You're going to try and kill the tanks. But they have the Tassadar. They have the Oriole fueled by the Vala. And they have a very hard tank to kill with the Anubrak. If his E's not down, how are you going to kill him? So if we roll on here, we see Archon gets popped. The 7-sided gets popped, but there's 3 people in it. And you know, just look at the damage. Where is it? Look at the life bars on the side of Nomia. You know, it's pretty much a complete outdraft here, in my opinion. Just full life bars across the way. To be fair to Roll20, they did play pretty well at the end of this fight here. They started focusing the Vala, and you can see they were so close to getting her down. But even without the shields, you know, Vala didn't get a single Tassadar shield there until the very end. Even without the Tassadar shield, they couldn't kill the Vala. The damage was just not there.
I mentioned it as that fight was going down. Any other comp, that Valor is probably dead, as Arcana stepped a bit far forwards in that spot, but obviously they weren't able to finish him.
Yeah, they played it. Nomia played it very well. They picked the comp, the winning comp in this scenario. Not even going for the Hungering Arrow build on Valor just purely to get the energy. They played for fights that they knew were probably going to happen due to the comp that Roll20 went for and due to the map as well.
All right, game number 2 is going to be on the way in a moment's time. It will be Tomb of the Spider Queen between these two. Now, very important this